Hey y'all, Trump is out of control. This guy is threatening military actions to take over Greenland, which is a part of Denmark and who's a US ally and a key member of NATO. I mean, it's very clear to me that his entire interest in Greenland is to serve his boss, President Putin of Russia, because the explanation that the US need Greenland for national security doesn't even make sense. It's just straight BS. Before we get started, I want to take a second, ask everybody to subscribe to my YouTube page and sign up for my email list. Those are the best ways to stay in the loop on all things politics with Steve. Without further ado, let's get back to it. First of all, the US does not need Greenland for its national security. Under the current treaty with Denmark, the US have full and exclusive access to do any military action there or around the island. The Prime Minister literally just confirmed this. I mean, we could put as many military bases as we want there and whenever we want. During the Cold War, we had like 50 bases in Greenland. So there is literally no need to invade. And this administration also floated the idea of a sale of Greenland to the United States. The problem is any sale would be a forced sale, clearly, because the threat of military action is on the table, and that's illegal. And we've seen this before, right? The US purchased the Virgin Islands from Denmark for 25 million in gold coins. But at that time, there was a serious need for it. There was an actual national security emergency. They had like those submarines, the U-boats was set up there. So the United States told Denmark, y'all can either sell this to us or we gonna occupy it by force. Trump is just following the same playbook because the national security excuse had worked that time. The problem is the scenario and circumstances this time is completely different. Now, again, I believe Putin is just directing Trump to destroy NATO. Just stay with me here. This plan was probably cooked up during those long negotiations with the Russian asset who Trump just randomly appointed to be in charge of Ukraine peace negotiations, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, because they spent a lot of time negotiating with Russian officials and all they came up with is a peace deal that clearly had no chance of actually being accepted by Russia and Ukraine. And we've also been seeing Russia trying to attack Ukraine from every single angle. And the EU is the only thing preventing like the Ukrainian military from collapsing financially. Now, I know it felt like Trump been a president forever, but if we recall just over a year ago, Biden had Putin isolated. He had the Russian economy on the verge of collapse, and it was hella nations lining up to support Ukraine. Trump undid all of that in just under a year. And recently, Putin thought Ukraine was on the ropes because they was running out of money to fight off this Russian invasion. And the EU and Ukraine was attempting to like access these frozen Russian funds that was in bank accounts inside of the EU. But at Trump's direction, the US moved against this, which blocked a lot of potential funding for Ukraine. And seemingly out of nowhere, the EU stepped up and agreed on a new funding package. I think it was like a loan that didn't have to be paid off until after the war for about $105 billion. And that was critical because wars are expensive. Again, all of this happened without the support of the US. That was a dagger to Russia because Putin, and even with Trump's help, the Russian economy was not doing well. His war chest is drying up. So this entire new interest in Greenland is just Trump helping the Russians out against the EU and Ukraine. It's no other way to explain this. Like, why else would Trump just be relentlessly slandering US allies, NATO, straight up lying on them? Let me show y'all this recent post that Trump put out, and then we're going to talk about it. So look at this. This literally does nothing good. Like, he started off with a bunch of lies, talking about the percentage of GDP that other NATO members been contributing. And he also says, we will always be there for NATO, even if they won't be there for us. Just another lie and slander. First of all, the only time NATO Article 5 was ever used was in defense of the United States when we got hit by terrorists in 9/11. So, what is he even talking about? Like, we've already seen them come to the defense of the United States. Now, it's well documented that Putin hates NATO, right? That's not a debate. He don't want a NATO member country bordering Russia. He don't want his citizens to look across the street and see a democracy because they may one day say, we want that style of government back home. That's actually why no authoritarian governments want democracy next door. China, that's why they don't, that's why they did what they did in Hong Kong. It's also well documented that Trump has an unexplained love affection for Putin. Now, I hear a lot of different theories for this. Some people believe that Putin is blackmailing him with the famous Moscow Hotel peeing video. Hey, some people believe that Putin has evidence and information that's in the Epstein files. We did see an email specifically from Jeffrey Epstein stating that he coached Russian officials on how to deal with Donald Trump. And look, I've talked a lot about how since taking office, all Trump policies benefited Russia. He weakened sanctions against Russia. He halted military support and equipment being sent. He even parroted Putin's talking points on a regular. So I'm not even going to go down and start talking about that again, but I do want to talk about this recent example because it just shows how Putin can just pull Trump's strings, right? Just a couple weeks ago, we seen Russia claim Ukraine targeted Putin's home with a drone strike. Kremlin spokesperson said that there was no evidence needed to prove that Ukraine did this. Now, Ukraine came out immediately and said Russia lied, but Trump, he started right away saying exactly what Putin wanted to say, that actually happened. A couple days later, the Wall Street Journal reported from a person that reviewed the CIA intelligence confirmed that Russia lied. They specifically said that this drone activity was planned at a military site. Only then did Trump finally come out and say, it appears Russia lied to push off peace talks. No shit. That's what we've been trying to tell you. You can't trust Putin. Again, it's a very long pattern of this. He literally does not have any backbone when it comes down to anything related to Putin. CNN reported a while back that during one of Trump and Zelensky's meeting in Washington, Trump was literally cussing at Zelensky. But I want y'all to see how he actually talks to Putin.
I did actually say, would you mind if I gave a couple of thousand tomahawks to your opposition? I did say that to him. I said it just that way.
He said it just that way.
He didn't like the idea. He really didn't like the idea. No, I said it that way. You have to be a little bit lighthearted sometimes, Adam.
Typically ask you not to provide tomahawks.
So, wouldn't anybody? I mean, it's been in the news. Who wouldn't do that?
Now look, y'all heard that. And MAGA seriously believes that he's a tough guy. I mean, they seriously believe that other world leaders is afraid of this guy. Look, if Putin was directing US policy, it would look exactly like this. I mean, even down to how I view the Venezuela operation. People saying that was bad for Russia because the price of oil will drop, which is what they use to fund their war. I think that's stupid. I mean, it would take a very long time for anything to happen with the oil that the US is getting from Venezuela. It's all kinds of infrastructure and security needs that these companies need before going in. So I just don't think that is something that's immediate or something that Russia is thinking about. Now, Russia did denounce it, but a denouncing means nothing. They took no military action whatsoever about this. And honestly, I believe that it benefits their narrative and what they're trying to accomplish in Ukraine. Now, Putin can say, that is exactly why I don't want a NATO country on my doorstep. If Trump just did this to Venezuela, Joe Biden could have did this to me because he don't like my policies. And look, bam, just like that, he got a new justification. And the Venezuelan operation also set a precedent for Trump doing like major military operations. So if he did do this in Greenland, it wouldn't be the first one. Look, y'all, Trump is a traitor to the free world, and this entire Greenland situation is just another example of this.